the beginning of the film, Cynthia is standing in an abandoned classroom where the word "help" is written all over the walls. Suddenly, she hears the voice of a little boy and starts following it. Passing through a broken hallway, she reaches a dimly lit room where a bald man is sitting with his back turned. Beside him is a cage in which a frightened boy named Larry is trapped. Cynthia encourages him to free himself and tells him that this evil has no real power. But at that moment, the bald man turns around and breaks a nearby glass, injuring Cynthia. As he moves closer, Cynthia quickly tells Larry that they will try again next time. In the very next moment, she returns to the real world, and it is revealed that Cynthia is a supernatural psychotherapist. She has the ability to enter her patients' minds and reach the root of their illness. However, whatever happens in the subconscious also affects reality, as shown by the injury on her hand. Later, Cynthia asks her daughter Jordan to find information about all of Larry's childhood physical education teachers. From this, they realize that the bald man used to harass Larry, and he still hasn't recovered from that trauma. Meanwhile, there is a knock at the door, and Jordan goes to open it. A frightened little girl is standing there, who urgently wants to meet Cynthia. Jordan doesn't remember any appointment, but she lets her come inside. The girl says she is in danger, and that a woman named Agatha Baker sent her here. Jordan notices burn marks on her hands and suggests calling the police, but the girl insists that only Cynthia can help her. She then introduces herself as Riley and says that she sees a dark entity. Jordan asks how she got those burn marks, but at that moment, Riley suddenly freezes and says that the entity is standing behind her. Jordan can't see anything, but a few moments later, Cynthia arrives and sees a terrifying presence holding Riley. Just then, Riley's father arrives and forcefully takes her away. After that, Jordan, feeling disturbed, says that something is seriously wrong with that girl and that her father is hiding something too. She urges her mother to help the girl, but Cynthia firmly refuses. She admits that she saw a dangerous demonic entity with Riley, which is why she doesn't want to get involved in this matter. Before we continue, I'd like to request you to subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. That same night, Jordan searches for Larry's physical education teacher on the internet and shows the information to Cynthia. Then, an emotional conversation takes place between mother and daughter, where Cynthia reveals that her husband lost his life while intervening in a similar demonic case. But stubborn Jordan argues that they should at least try, while Cynthia clearly states that this entity is extremely dangerous and she doesn't want to repeat the past. That night, Jordan has a dream in which she sees her childhood self inside the house, with a staircase in front of her. As soon as she starts climbing the stairs, she suddenly wakes up. The next morning, Jordan goes to meet Cynthia's friend Agatha Baker to learn more about Riley. She directly asks how Agatha knows the girl. Agatha then explains that Riley's father, Randall, is a carpenter who once repaired her old furniture. She tells that Randall's wife recently passed away and there were clear burn marks on his daughter's hands. Because of this, Agatha Baker had given them Cynthia's contact for help. After hearing this, Jordan asks for Randall's address and goes there. Meanwhile, at home, Cynthia calls her police officer friend John and strangely asks him to arrest the physical ed teacher, Doug. John asks if she has any evidence, but Cynthia says it's just her intuition. Although John finds this strange, he still tells his men to keep an eye on Doug. On the other side, Jordan reaches the address and Randall comes to the door. She tells him that she has come to meet Riley and help her, but Randall firmly says that everything is under control. Jordan tries to convince him that they want to help his daughter, but he gets angry, tells her not to interfere, and walks away. Not giving up, Jordan quietly enters the house from the back door and starts searching for Riley. Soon, she finds a door, but when she opens it, it turns out to be a closet. However, the clever Jordan becomes suspicious, so she removes the clothes. To her surprise, there is a hidden door behind it, so she immediately goes to another room to get some tools. Jordan picks up a screwdriver and manages to open the door, which leads to a dark basement. Using a flashlight, she slowly walks down and calls out to Riley. She thinks Randall has locked his daughter here, but suddenly Riley appears and says that she is not the one who is imprisoned. Before Jordan can understand anything, Randall knocks her unconscious. Meanwhile, at home, Cynthia starts getting worried because her daughter hasn't returned yet. At the same time, she receives a call from Agatha, who asks if she was able to meet the sick girl. She also tells her that Jordan had come to see her and then went to Randall's house. Hearing this, Cynthia realizes that her daughter is in danger and immediately leaves to save her. On the other side, Jordan regains consciousness and sees that she is tied up in the basement with her hands bound behind her back. She becomes even more terrified when she sees that a disfigured woman is also tied up in the same way. After a few moments, Randall comes there, and the frightened Jordan tries to explain to him that her mother has special abilities that can free the girl from this evil. But Randall says that he has already asked many people for help before, and every time the result was that social services came to take his daughter away from him. Then, in a mysterious tone, he says that Riley has to feed that entity, otherwise it will harm her. At that moment, Riley comes close to Jordan and places both her hands on her shoulders. Jordan feels her life energy draining, because in reality, that demonic entity is sucking her energy. When it ends, the entity disappears and the father and daughter go upstairs. Now Randall is planning to throw Jordan into the lake so that no one can ever find her. But while he is distracted, Riley secretly steals his pliers and goes to the basement to save Jordan. She still believes that Cynthia can cure her, and Jordan also reassures her that it's possible. Hearing this, Riley gives her the pliers and runs away. Jordan immediately uses them to free herself and the disfigured woman. But just as they try to escape, Randall arrives and points a gun at them. At that moment, Riley also comes there and stands in front of Jordan, pleading with her father to stop everything. The situation becomes even more dangerous when the disfigured woman suddenly attacks Randall, causing his gun to accidentally fire and hit Riley, killing her on the spot. Immediately after, Jordan starts experiencing a severe headache, and then she sees that same demonic entity in front of her. It becomes clear that the entity has found a new host. Terrified, Jordan runs away from there. Somehow, she manages to get out of the house, and at that exact moment, Cynthia and Agatha arrive there in a car. They hug each other in relief while Randall secretly escapes in his car. After this, the scene shifts to the police station, where John is talking to Cynthia while Jordan is being interrogated. John says that the other woman has been transferred to the hospital. He also reveals that the forensic team found evidence of more bodies in the basement, suggesting that Randall had been doing this for a long time. John is confident that they will catch him soon. Meanwhile, the officers questioning Jordan ask her several questions, but she keeps lying because she knows they won't believe her. Suddenly, Jordan sees the demon and starts panicking. Noticing her behavior, the officers begin to think that she may have lost her mental stability. After returning home, Cynthia realizes that her daughter is in serious danger, so she finally decides to face that entity. Together with Agatha, she recites special prayers and enters Jordan's subconscious. Suddenly, Cynthia finds herself on a deserted, dark road where she sees a newspaper headline stating that her husband had driven his patient to suicide. After that, she continues reciting prayers and arrives in front of her old house. This is the place she fears the most, and it is also where her daughter's biggest childhood trauma began. Cynthia enters the house and finds an old family photograph, but as soon as she tries to go upstairs, that demonic entity suddenly appears and grabs her. In the real world, Cynthia's hand starts burning, and in panic, Agatha shakes her and brings her back to consciousness. Later, Cynthia goes to the hospital for investigation, leaving her daughter at home under the supervision of Agatha and a police officer. At the hospital, she meets her patient Larry, who is working there as a receptionist, and asks him about Riley's mother. After some hesitation, Larry pulls up the information and tells her that the woman, Samantha, died in the same hospital last year, and her case had become very famous. It is revealed that she was suffering from a strange flesh-eating disease, and a doctor named Whitaker was treating her. After this, Cynthia goes to that doctor's house to learn more about Samantha. She explains that she also has a patient showing similar symptoms and urgently needs information. The doctor then explains that Samantha's illness was extremely rare and rapidly spreading, which worsened her condition in a very short time. Within just a few weeks, her appearance had become horrifying, and her internal organs had started to fail. Dr. Whitaker was disturbed because he had never seen such a case before, and he couldn't understand the cause of the disease. One night, when she was close to death, she told him that something is with me, and it is here with us, and it is hungry. Then she asked the doctor to come closer and grabbed his hand tightly. Whitaker says it felt as if everything inside his body was being pulled toward her. At that moment, he became convinced that Samantha's illness was not scientific, but something else, and that it was impossible to save her. In the end, the doctor rolls up his sleeve and shows the same burn marks on his arm, left by that demonic entity. Jordan has the same terrifying dream again, but this time, she hears a horrifying voice saying, "Feed me," and when Jordan refuses, vines suddenly attack her, causing her to wake up in panic. Now she can't sleep, and she feels like someone is present in the house, so she goes downstairs to check. She reaches the kitchen, where she suddenly sees a demon hiding in the corner, and at that very moment, Randall appears from nowhere and kidnaps her. After some time, when Cynthia returns home, she finds Agatha unconscious and becomes worried when she sees her daughter missing. When she realizes that Jordan has been kidnapped, she gets angry at the police officer sitting outside. Then the scene shifts, and Randall takes Jordan in his car deep into the forest. Jordan's hands are tied, and she begs him to let her go, saying that she only wanted to help. But Randall clearly tells her that this is no longer about her. He says that since the demon has transferred into her, he wants to starve it in the forest so that it dies and leaves. After that, Randall closes the coffin and puts it into a pit that he had already dug. Jordan screams and begs for mercy, but Randall completely buries her and calmly walks away. In a shocking twist, Randall turns himself into the police, and a panicked Cynthia asks him where her daughter is, but he refuses to say anything. Cynthia requests to be allowed to talk to Randall, saying she can locate Jordan using her special ability, but John refuses due to protocol. Meanwhile, in the forest, Jordan is struggling to survive inside the coffin. Soon, she finds a flashlight. As she turns it on, she sees the demonic entity. At the same time, at the police station, John discovers that Doug, whom Cynthia had suspected, was actually involved in the kidnapping of 2 children. Realizing this, he becomes convinced that Cynthia's ability is real, and finally allows her to meet Randall. As soon as she is alone with him, Cynthia immediately uses her power and enters Randall's mind. First, she sees the hospital scene where Randall's wife died. Then she reaches the basement, and finally arrives at the place where Randall had buried her daughter alive. Cynthia memorizes all the signs and landmarks around and quickly returns. Back in reality, Randall shouts that Jordan must die for this dangerous cycle to end. Cynthia tells John that her daughter has been buried in the forest, but doesn't reveal anything more. She immediately leaves the station, takes Randall's shovel, and heads out with Agatha. Cynthia doesn't know the exact location, but based on her intuition, she starts driving toward the forest. Meanwhile, John orders his team to track the tire marks of Cynthia's car, especially near forest areas. Following the signboards, Cynthia finally reaches the exact location, where she and Agatha quickly start digging. After a lot of effort, Cynthia finds the coffin and immediately breaks it open. What she sees inside shocks her. The demon is on top of her daughter, and Jordan is extremely weak. Cynthia realizes that the demon attacked Jordan aggressively because it knew she was close to death. Now, the only way to save her is to enter her subconscious and confront the demon. At the same time, the sound of police sirens can be heard. Agatha immediately starts distracting the police, while Cynthia begins the process and touches her daughter's forehead. Cynthia successfully enters her mind and finds herself in their old house, where Jordan is standing outside the door. Cynthia tells the frightened Jordan to stay outside, while she goes inside the house alone. The entire house is broken and surrounded by demonic vines. Cynthia moves upstairs, where she sees the same staircase that Jordan used to see in her dreams. Despite being scared, Cynthia gathers courage and slowly goes up, where she finds her husband's dead body, who had taken his own life. Cynthia pauses for a moment to grieve, then composes herself and continues searching in the attic. Suddenly, the demon appears and grabs her by the throat, trying to consume her soul. But Cynthia is prepared. She gathers all her strength, places her hand on its forehead, and enters its subconscious. In the next moment, Cynthia finds herself in a demonic world, completely covered in vines. Using a lantern, she slowly moves forward. At the same time, a shocking revelation occurs. Jordan is also traveling inside the subconscious. She gathers courage, climbs the stairs, and soon breaks down in tears after seeing her father's dead body. Meanwhile, in the demonic world, Cynthia finally finds the demon in its lair. Holding a spear, she confronts it, ready to end this nightmare forever. But at that very moment, in the real world, John finds her and calls out to her, distracting her. The demon takes advantage of this moment and binds her hands and feet. In the real world, John sees that Cynthia is in pain, but he allows her to finish what she started. Meanwhile, Jordan also sees her mother and the demon in the attic, and in panic, she tries to pull the demon's hand away from her mother, but it has no effect. In the demonic world, the demon slowly moves toward the helpless Cynthia and climbs on top of her. But just when it seems like everything is over, Jordan appears and attacks the demon. It turns out that Jordan has also entered the demon's subconscious from the attic. She immediately frees her mother. After that, mother and daughter together attack the hungry demon with their weapons and don't stop until it becomes completely still, ending its existence forever. In the real world, Cynthia suddenly opens her eyes and her daughter also begins to show signs of life. Seeing them alive, John breathes a sigh of relief and immediately calls for help, and the film ends there.